Well, hello, Mgtow. Welcome back. So there has been some accusations lately in the Mgtow community that we are um, controlling the minds of men. That we are a cult of mind control individuals. Some of who are incredibly smart, and that unsuspecting young men come to us uh, in hopes of finding solutions to problems that they may be facing in their romantic lives, and that we entrap them, psychologically entrap them. Not that we physically entrap them, like kids in cages in the Mexican border, uh, waiting until Epstein is ready for them, and Biden are ready for them. Not that kind of entrapment, but psychological entrapment. Supposedly, we psychologically entrap these young men into the Mgtow philosophy, right? The Mgtow mindset, and and then they have no escape. So it's Mgtow mind control, right? That's the question here. And in a sense, I will not deny it. Yes, Mgtow is mind control, but it doesn't mean that we are controlling your mind in the same way that advertisers are doing it with all the subliminals. I mean, you look at a billboard. If you go down the highway nowadays and you look into all the billboards, uh, one after the other, pretty much they all have some sort of subliminal message to them. You know, whether it's embedded in the phrase or embedded in an image. All those billboards are 30-second snippets of mind control mind control propaganda to lead you to do something that you might not have even thought of doing in the first place, whether it's purchasing a new car or buying a ring for that woman. So Mgtow, I mean, if you look around, taking all these videos, right? Every video is an attempt to persuade you away from marriage. You see, so as a result, you know, we of that we can say yes, it's kind of a mind control situation, but we're controlling your mind to set you free. You see, because you got to a point where you know you didn't know what was going on. You see, you came to the Mgtow philosophy, to the Mgtow community, and you might have been, or felt that you were down on your luck. You might have felt that you were, that things weren't really going the way you wanted them to go, right? In the relationship aspect of your life, and then you arrive here, at our shores, and you started to listen to all these ideas, right? To all these content producers, right? That put out great ideas and concepts, and in that sense, we did take control of your thoughts because you were not in control. You didn't have an idea of what was taking place. You see, but we took control of you in order to wake you up, in order to set you free, and now you're in control. You see, you decide what to do with your life. Your time is yours. Your money is yours. So if you were out of control at one point, right? Now you have the chance. Now you have the opportunity um, to make things go the way you want. And so, in a sense, Mgtow is mind control. But we control you temporarily. You see, we control you for lack of a better word, in a paternal and loving way. You see, to set you free. We open your eyes to what's really taking place out there. So we don't really control you the way a government may control you by force and coercion. So another Another critique of our philosophy is that Mgtow is some sort of genetic modification, produced by the elites, and that it's part of the agenda to depopulate Earth. And the questions behind this are, what would happen if every woman was a feminist, and every red pill or Mgtow man um, did not wish to interact with them. You see, obviously, there would be no offsprings being generated from these two philosophies, or rather, a philosophy that is Mgtow and an ideology that is feminism. And so, you know, if every man was a monk and every woman a feminist, right, this would be a sort of non-chemical eugenics program, you see. And so some of our detractors, some of our opposers, some of our best and worst critics have brought this to light. And to that I say, this philosophy is not for everyone. There are many, many instances in which men come here because they're lost, because they need a little push in their lives, and they find this philosophy is a great thing, but they say, it's really, the whole of it is really not for me. It's, I'll take part of it and continue on living my life in a non-gynocentric way, but I do not want to step away from women for good. I don't want to step away from women forever, and we respect that. We have no problem with that. And so Mgtow is not modern eugenics in that sense. It can be if every man was manipulated to the point where they would not be able to see beyond that. But that is not what was taking place here. What's taking place is every man becomes free, and he's able to do with his life as he wishes. And on most occasions, they decide to call themselves red pill as opposed to Mgtow, or as opposed to becoming a monk. So, but the women themselves, the women, they really are mind controlled by big government, and they really are mind controlled by big corporate interests that wish for the system to remain what it is. And I had an interaction with a woman the other day, a younger woman, and I ghost a lot. I spend a lot of time by myself. And as I've mentioned before, I tend not to even come into contact with women or share an elevator with them or have prolonged conversations with them. But this particular woman ended up, or rather I ended up having to interact with this particular woman in the course of my daily routine, my well, not so daily routine, of course, on the course of business. And all of the elements, all of the signs of her being mind controlled were there. The arrogance, the grab for power, the wanting to be this idealized image of a man that they have in their minds. That's not really a man. They're prone to violence. You see, all of it was there, present, as I was interacting with this woman, and I started to think for myself, wow, how interesting that these people, or these women rather, are, I want to say people because some guys are affected by this too. They are unsure of their own gender. They're unsure of their own sexuality. You see, they're so confused about who they are. They've been so brainwashed that they're willing to go against what what they perceive. They're willing to go against what they can notice about themselves and take the word of a complete outsider, see, about who they are. They believe that gender is fluid. They really do believe this, and nothing could be further from the truth. Most men and most women are just that, men or women. And this is the concept of polarity, right, which in the physical realm manifests itself as the sexes. You see, there are a few people, granted, there are a few people who are born hermaphrodites, or intersexuals, but that's a rarity. That these cases are very, very rare in nature, and they're just not the norm. So the majority of men and the majority of women that are young men and young women today that are now believing that sexuality is something fluid, that there are no absolutes, that there is no truth, and they're willing to doubt themselves and who they are. I mean, they really are lost. And so we've gone down a really dark path lately, and it's sad because they're willing to go to war over this. I was looking at the a video. Excuse me. I was looking at a video that was going around a while ago about the Russian army versus the American army, and there were many. This was going around the Mgtow community, right? And for the Russian army, the ideas behind it were that you selected this. It's gonna be tough. You're a man. So masculinity was emphasized. Masculinity was emphasized in this video as a way to propel men into action, or rather into an act of war. See, to propel them into conflict. And on the American side of things, there was a young lady who was persuaded into going to war in order to defend what she thought was her family, which was a so-called non-traditional family, right? In her case, it was her and two mothers, right? So most observers of this video, most critics of this video, decided that we were going to be taken over by the Russians if there came a war between the two nations, and so forth and so on, right? I thought that perhaps might be true, but that there was also another side of this propaganda that we weren't really seeing, and that is that we could send, or rather, the psychologists behind this influential video, right? They're not really dumb people. You see, they really know what they're doing, and it's possibility that they were testing the waters to see what the people's reactions were, and they put out this video out there, or that it was indeed an attempt to have women join the armed services as a way to defend their right to be the right to call themselves what they wanted, right? They see this as being free, the right to call themselves a man if they so chose to, right? The right to defend their sexuality, their their gender, right? Or what they thought was their gender, right? Which they see as something fluid. And so, I was thinking this is very effective because now we're sending people into a completely mechanized war, right? Technologically advanced warfare. That's what we're dealing with, and these people have no morality. So in a sense, those weaklings, you see, those um, misguided beings that have no true sense of who they are, right? Because they're willing to go against their own observations and take someone else's word, um, about as truth of what they are. See, they really are dangerous. They're people with no morality. You see, in my darkest hour, I always had some sort of morality. The knowledge of what was right and what was wrong, of what is right and what is wrong, which never changes. It never changes. It's eternal. Truth is eternal. But these people, they really are dangerous. And so, we're going down a really dark path here. You see, and this reminds me of the screen. I'm sorry that it doesn't have any images, but I figure, hey, YouTube is messing with the images in the Mgtow videos anyways. And so I might as well just put out the words, which is really what matters when it comes to talking about this philosophy. And so that's what we are. We're dealing with the people who see government as a paternal influence. You see, and this is a war on all ends. It's a physical war. It's a mental war. It's a psychological war. It's even a spiritual war. And this is known as hybrid warfare, right? It's a war on all ends. And these young people, they have no suspicion of what's really befalling upon them. So our job here in the Mgtow community is to wake them up. And if we have to temporarily control their minds, right, take control, right, of their minds to set them free, then that's ethical in my opinion. So is Mgtow mind control? Yes, it is. It is. But again, we control you to set you free, and to persuade you into living a life based on truth, and not to modify you in a way that's going to hurt you, but to bring the truth to you, which is not likely to change anytime soon. And so, lately I've noticed that the Mgtow philosophy, right, or the content creators have been led into a less material, should I say, area of the YouTube realm. There were some content producers talking about symbols. There were some other content producers talking about things that weren't really physical, you see. And some of those guys, they decided to keep the knowledge for themselves. Others kind of woke up to it, you see. This was done. YouTube did this as a way to deviate and to divide the Mgtow community. You see, I've noticed it. Yeah, I noticed it right away when I saw that other Mgtow content. I wasn't gonna publish any content anymore, but then I saw that we were really going down a path that was worse than I thought it would ever be. And again, some of the more should I say, some of the more self aware or self, I don't want to say self-serving, but some of the more some of the content producers that and let's just put it like this: not everybody was willing to share uh, these new esoteric ideas that they came into contact with, and that was wrong. The knowledge has to be spread; it doesn't have to be occulted. And I'm glad for Vincent Mgtow that's putting out some of the content out there for all to watch. I myself changed my ways of seeing myself and the content that I'm producing. And I hope that if someone is listening to this who has come into contact with this new information, then it's their right and duty. Excuse me, it's their duty and obligation. Um, Although obligation is kind of a strong word, but let's just say it's best for them to just put out the content in a way that benefits everybody, as opposed to trying to hoard information. See, some of us here in the Mgtow community, we know a lot more than what we publish, uh, but it's we have to publish what is right. We have to publish in a way that frees other human beings, not just hoard information because we're envious or whatnot of other content producers, or who might take what or whatnot. I do want to be given credit for my ideas, right? Because they're original. And if you want to spread out this message, by all means do it, but do give me credit for it. So, anyways, that's all I want to say about that. And if you are here hoarding this information, this esoteric information that YouTube is has made us come into contact with in order to divide us, then you have a powerful enemy in me. One last unrelated item here. As we move to the future, we've seen that there's an attack on the restaurant industry. Now, you're all aware of this, right? The idea, the concept that you can go to a restaurant and you have to walk in with a mask and then take the mask off so you can eat. And now many places, want or require their guests to be vaccinated. In order to sit down and eat, right, in those establishments. So what's happening here is the restaurant industry is under attack. But why? We have to ask ourselves, why is the restaurant industry under attack? This is furthering the agenda of control of the food supply. You see, most places are now just delivering, right? Delivering or taking out, right? Even people have gotten used to that. People are no longer sitting in many places and having dinner. Many are just, many haven't taken that shit into their bodies, and so they're not sitting at the at the restaurants. What this is, if we keep going down this path, this is going to open up a door for the food industry to be a delivery only solution. You see, it's a way to further separate people from their sources of nourishment. And this is a further or rather this is a way of further controlling people. And so this is one thing we have to fight. I eat at restaurants once in a while, because I'm on the road often. I do a lot of cooking myself. But I've noticed this, and I'm sure a lot of you have as well. It's just a larger pattern it's likely to get worse if we do not fight the system. If we do not provide an opposing force against this evil that's being perpetrated on mankind. And so that's just one side thought, or one side idea there, argument that I had regarding this, the restaurant industry. Do not let them control you. Do not, let them manipulate you in a way that's going to take your freedom away. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.